Hands on the wheel, don't move!
My hands are visible. Why am I being stopped?
Keep them right there.
They're not moving. What did I do?
Before you hear names or places, let me start with a feeling. That tight feeling in your stomach when something bad is about to happen, even though the sun is shining and the street looks calm. Before we go any further, take a second and comment where you're watching from. And if stories like this matter to you, like, subscribe, and share so more people can hear them. Now, here's how it began. It was a clear afternoon in Lakewood Hills, a quiet, wealthy neighborhood lined with tall trees and wide driveways. The kind of place where kids rode bikes without worry and neighbors wave at each other while walking dogs. Nothing about the street looked dangerous. Nothing at all. Alyssa Carter drove slowly down Maple Crest Drive, one hand on the wheel, the other resting near her phone. She was 26 years old, calm and focused. Her dark hair was pulled back, and she wore simple clothes, jeans, sneakers, and a soft blue hoodie. She wasn't lost. She wasn't speeding. She wasn't doing anything wrong. Alyssa was driving her father's car, a clean silver sedan, heading home after a long day at work. She had grown up visiting this neighborhood. She knew every turn. Then she saw the flashing lights. Red, blue. Her heart skipped once. She checked her speed. Perfect. Her seatbelt. On. Her mirrors. Fine. She pulled over smoothly to the side of the road. Behind her, a police cruiser stopped fast. Too fast. Alyssa took a breath. Just like her father had taught her. Hands visible. Stay calm. Be respectful. The driver's door of the cruiser opened hard. Officer Brian Holt stepped out. Mid-30s. Tall. Sharp movements. His hand rested close to his belt as he walked up, not casually, but stiff, alert in a way that didn't match the quiet street. Alyssa rolled down her window halfway and kept both hands on the steering wheel. "Good afternoon, officer," she said politely. Holt didn't answer the greeting. "License and registration," he said. "Yes, sir," Alyssa replied. Slowly, carefully, she reached into her bag and glove box, narrating her movements just like she'd been taught. As she handed over the documents, Holt looked past her, scanning the inside of the car. His eyes narrowed. "Is this your vehicle?" he asked. "Yes," Alyssa said. "It belongs to my father." Holt's eyebrows lifted slightly. "Your father?" "Yes, sir." He looked at the address on the registration, then back at her. "You live around here?" he asked. Alyssa nodded. "Yes." Holt didn't seem convinced. "What brings you to this neighborhood today?" he asked. Alyssa paused. "I live here." Holt stepped back slightly and looked down the street, then back at her again. "Step out of the vehicle," he ordered. Alyssa's chest tightened. "May I ask why?" she said gently. Holt's voice sharpened. "Because I told you to." Alyssa swallowed and opened the door slowly. She stepped out, keeping her hands visible. Neighbors had started to notice. A man watering his lawn stopped. A woman across the street paused with her phone in hand. Holt walked around her car once, slow and deliberate. "You seem nervous," he said. "I'm just trying to be respectful," Alyssa replied. Holt stopped in front of her. "Where did you get this car?" "My father," she said again calmly. "And what does your father do?" Holt asked. Alyssa hesitated. She knew this moment mattered. "He's a judge," she said. Holt laughed once. Short, dismissive. "Yeah," he said. "Sure he is." That laugh echoed louder than it should have on such a quiet street. Alyssa felt it then. This wasn't a traffic stop. This was something else entirely. And Officer Holt had no idea how badly he had misjudged the situation, or how close he was to ending his own career with the next words he chose to say. Officer Holt didn't smile again. He stood a little too close to Alyssa, close enough that she could feel his presence pressing into her space. His eyes stayed on her face, not friendly, not curious, searching, like he was looking for something to catch her on. "Turn around," he said. Alyssa's stomach tightened. "Sir, turn around," Holt repeated. "Hands behind your back." Alyssa blinked. "Am I being detained?" Holt ignored the question. She did what she was told. Slowly, Carefully, she turned and placed her hands behind her back, fingers loose, shoulders relaxed. Her heart was beating fast now, but she kept her breathing steady. A car passed slowly down the street. The driver stared. Holt circled her once, then stopped behind her. "You don't look like you live here," he said. Alyssa closed her eyes for half a second, then opened them. "With respect, officer, I do." Holt scoffed. "This area is at break-ins. People cruising around, casing houses." Alyssa turned her head slightly. "I'm not cruising. I'm going home." Holt raised his voice just enough to carry. "Don't get smart." Across the street, the woman who had paused earlier lifted her phone higher. The red recording light blinked on. Holt noticed. "You can put that phone away," he barked. The woman shook her head. "I'm just standing on my property." Holt turned back to Alyssa, annoyed now. "Where exactly are you coming from?" he asked. "Work," Alyssa said. "What kind of work?" "I'm an analyst for a healthcare firm." Holt nodded slowly, like he didn't believe a word of it. "And your father," he said. "You said he's a judge." "Yes." "What court?" Alyssa hesitated, then answered. "State Supreme Court." Holt laughed again, louder this time. "Wow," he said. "You really went big with that lie." Alyssa felt her cheeks warm, but her voice stayed calm. "It's not a lie." Holt leaned in. "You expect me to believe a Supreme Court judge's daughter is driving around alone in this neighborhood with no escort?" Alyssa turned her head enough to look at him. "I don't need an escort." That was the wrong thing to say. Holt's tone shifted. "You're being uncooperative." "I'm answering your questions," she replied. "Not the way I like." Holt snapped. He reached toward his radio, then stopped, eyes flicking to the phone across the street again. A man stepped out of a nearby house, drawn by the raised voices. "Everything okay?" he called out. Holt spun toward him. "Sir, go back inside." The man hesitated. "She doesn't look like she's doing anything wrong." Holt's jaw clenched. "That's not your call." Alyssa felt something change inside her. Not fear, resolve. She took a breath. "Officer," she said, steady and clear, "am I free to go?" Holt stared at her. Then, slowly, deliberately, he said, "No." He stepped back and rested his hand on his belt, fingers brushing the grip of his weapon, not pulling it, but making sure she saw it. Alyssa's heart jumped. "Why am I being detained?" she asked. "For investigation," Holt replied. "Possible suspicious activity." Alyssa nodded once. Then she made a decision. "Officer," she said calmly, "I'd like to call my father." Holt's eyes narrowed. "That's not necessary." "It is," Alyssa replied, "and it's my right." For a moment, Holt looked like he might say no. Then he shrugged. "Go ahead. Call him." There was confidence in his voice. Too much confidence. Alyssa reached into her pocket slowly, pulled out her phone, and unlocked it. Her hands were steady now. She scrolled to a familiar contact. Dad. The phone rang once, then twice. Holt crossed his arms, watching, clearly amused. Alyssa brought the phone to her ear. "Hi, Dad," she said softly. "I've been pulled over." There was a pause on the line. Then her father spoke, his voice calm, controlled, and very aware. "Where are you?" he asked. Alyssa looked straight ahead. "Maple Crest Drive," she said. "Lakewood Hills." She listened, then nodded slightly. "Yes," she added. "He's still here." She lowered the phone just enough and looked at Officer Holt. "My father would like to speak with you," she said. Holt smirked. "Tell him I'm busy." Alyssa raised the phone again. "He says he's busy." The voice on the other end didn't raise. It didn't need to. "Put him on," her father said. Alyssa extended the phone toward Holt. "Sir," she said, "he's asking to speak with you." Holt hesitated, just for a moment, and that moment was the first crack. Officer Holt stared at the phone, like it had suddenly become something dangerous. He didn't take it right away. Instead, he looked around, at the quiet street, at the neighbors standing still, watching, at the woman across the road who hadn't stopped recording for a single second. Then he looked back at Alyssa. "You can put that away," he said. "This isn't necessary." Alyssa didn't move the phone. Her arm stayed extended. Her voice stayed calm. "He's asking to speak with you, officer." Holt let out a short breath through his nose. He didn't like how steady she sounded. He didn't like how confident she suddenly seemed. Finally, he grabbed the phone. "This is Officer Holt," he said sharply into it. "Who am I speaking with?" There was a pause. Then a voice came through the speaker. Not loud, not angry, measured. "This is Judge Daniel Carter of the State Supreme Court." The voice said, "You are currently detaining my daughter." Holt's posture stiffened. He forced a laugh. "Sir, with respect, people say a lot of things on the phone." "I understand," Judge Carter replied. "That's why I'm asking you to provide your badge number and reason for detaining her." Holt's jaw tightened. "She's under investigation." "For what?" the judge asked. Holt hesitated. "Just for a beat. Suspicious activity." Another pause. "Officer," Judge Carter said, "my daughter was driving home in her own neighborhood. You have her documents. You have no probable cause. Why is she still outside her vehicle?" Holt glanced at Alyssa. She met his eyes without fear. "I'm ensuring public safety," Holt said. The judge's tone did not change, but something in it sharpened. "Then you should know," he said, "that I am contacting the Department Chief, Internal Affairs, and the City Attorney right now." Holt's eyes widened slightly. Across the street, a man whispered, "Oh." Holt pulled the phone slightly away from his ear. "Sir, let's not escalate. You escalated the moment you treated my daughter as a suspect without cause," Judge Carter said. "Now you will de-escalate." Holt swallowed. "Return the phone to her," the judge said, "and step back." Holt didn't argue. He handed the phone back to Alyssa, his movements slower now. "Careful. Dad," Alyssa said softly. "I'm on my way," Judge Carter replied. "Stay calm. You've done nothing wrong." She nodded, even though he couldn't see her. "Okay." She ended the call. The silence that followed was loud. Holt cleared his throat. You can wait by your vehicle." Alyssa turned to face him fully. "Am I being detained?" Holt opened his mouth, then closed it. "No," he said. "Then I like to sit in my car," Alyssa replied. She walked back to the driver's seat slowly and opened the door. She didn't rush. She didn't look back. Holt stood there, unsure what to do with his hands. His radio crackled. "Unit 7, supervisor en route. ETA 2 minutes. Holt's shoulders dropped slightly. 2 minutes felt like forever. The neighbors didn't leave. If anything, more had stepped outside now. A man leaned against a mailbox. A woman whispered into her phone. Alyssa sat in the driver's seat with the door open, hands resting calmly in her lap. Holt paced once, then stopped. For the first time, he looked nervous. He checked his body cam. It was on. He looked down the street. And then he saw it. Another cruiser turning the corner. Lights on. His stomach sank. The second cruiser rolled to stop behind Holt's car, slow and deliberate. Its light stayed on. Officer Holt straightened his uniform like that might fix things. He took a breath, squared his shoulders, and waited. A tall woman stepped out of the cruiser. Late 40s. Calm face. No rush in her movements. Her badge read Sergeant Linda Morales. She didn't look at Holt first. She looked at Alyssa, then at the neighbors standing on their lawns, then at the phone still recording. Only then did she turn to Holt. "Why do you have a woman pulled out of her car in her own neighborhood?" Morales asked. Holt spoke fast. Too fast. "Suspicious activity, ma'am. Vehicle didn't match." Morales raised a hand. "Slow down." She walked over to Alyssa's open door. "Ma'am, are you okay?" "Yes," Alyssa said. "I was stopped without being told why." Morales nodded. "Thank you." She turned back to Holt. "You ran her plates?" "Yes." "And—" "They came back clean." "So what was suspicious?" Holt hesitated. She couldn't clearly explain why she was here. A neighbor spoke up. She said she lives here. Morales glanced at the neighbor, then back to Holt. "Did she refuse any lawful order?" "No." "Did she threaten you?" "No." "Did you draw your weapon?" Holt's mouth went dry. "No, ma'am." Several neighbors reacted at once. "She did." He grabbed his gun. It's on video. Morales didn't raise her voice. That made it worse. Holt, she said, is your body cam on? Yes. Good, Morales replied, because we'll review it. She turned to Alyssa again. You mentioned your father? Yes, Alyssa said. He's on his way. Morales nodded. Okay. Less than a minute later, a black sedan pulled up quietly. A man stepped out wearing a dark suit. Calm, confident. His presence changed the air instantly. Sergeant Morales recognized him immediately. Judge Carter, she said, standing straighter. Holt's face drained the color. Judge Daniel Carter walked straight to his daughter. Are you all right? He asked. Yes, Dad. He turned slowly to Morales. I'd like an explanation. Morales nodded once. So would I. She faced Holt. Officer, you are relieved from this scene. Step back. Holt tried to speak. Ma'am, Now, Morales said. Holt stepped away. Judge Carter spoke, calm but firm. This interaction will be formally reviewed. All footage preserved. Morales nodded. Already done. The neighbors murmured. Holt stood alone beside his cruiser. For the first time, he understood the stop was over. But the consequences were just beginning. The street slowly returned to its normal sounds. A lawn sprinkler clicked back on. A dog barked somewhere down the block. Cars passed again, careful and curious. But for Officer Brian Holt, nothing was normal anymore. Sergeant Morales stood with Judge Carter near the curb, speaking in low, serious tones. Everything about her posture said this was no longer a routine matter. This was documentation. This was process. This was consequence. Alyssa leaned against her car, her father's arm lightly around her shoulders. She didn't cry. She didn't shake. She felt tired, but also steady, like someone who had walked through a storm and come out standing. Morales finally turned back to Holt. Officer Holt, she said, you are suspended pending investigation. Turn off your body cam and hand me your keys. Holt opened his mouth, then closed it again. He reached up and turned off the camera. The small click sounded louder than it should have. He handed over the keys. The neighbors watched in complete silence. Holt didn't look at Alyssa. He didn't look at Judge Carter. He stared at the pavement as another officer escorted him to the back of the cruiser. Judge Carter spoke calmly. This will go to Internal Affairs, and the city attorney will have a copy of every video recorded here today. Morales nodded. Already sent. Alyssa finally spoke. Am I free to go? Morales looked at her with something close to respect. You were free the moment he stepped out of line. I'm sorry you had to experience this. Alyssa nodded. Thank you. Later that evening, the video spread, not because of anger, not because of shouting, but because of contrast. A calm young woman, a quiet street, an officer who kept pushing when there was no reason to push at all. Within days, the department released a statement. Officer Brian Holt was terminated for violating conduct policy, failure to establish probable cause, improper escalation, unlawful detention, no parade, no press conference, just a line in an official report, and a career ended by his own choices. Alyssa went back to her life, back to work, back to normal days. But she carried something new with her now, proof that calm truth can be louder than force. And the neighborhood, they remembered who stood still, who spoke calmly, and who let power slip through his fingers. If this story mattered to you, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it so more people can see what accountability really looks like. And comment where you're watching from. Your voice matters here.